Hi everyone, welcome to week 9 of your Medical Language 2 course. We are going to be covering chapter 29 in your textbook this week. And I have to say, I think this might be the shortest chapter in the entire book. And I think you will find that this is pretty straightforward. It is mainly just a discussion of all of the different terminology and things that you're going to need to know going forward as far as mathematics itself goes. One of the big things that I want you to keep in mind as you start your journey into the math is to remember that, as pharmacy technicians, we can make one tiny little mistake. Putting a decimal in the wrong place might seem like a pretty small mistake. But ultimately, we have a patient's life in our hands, and if we make an error in calculations of their medications, and we do something like that, like putting a decimal in the wrong spot, or changing a fraction into a decimal incorrectly, that can cause all kinds of issues for that patient. Maybe the patient just doesn't get enough medication. And, their infection doesn't go away, it's not effective therapy, whatever. But it could be something as bad as it's too strong of a medication, and we could ultimately, cause their death. So there's all kinds of extremes involved, but ultimately the idea is that we want to make sure that we don't make those minor mistakes. So it's really important that we understand the basics of math. So that's what this particular chapter does. It goes through some of those building blocks of math to just do that brief introduction. So we're going to look at fractions and decimals. We're going to look at specifically at Roman numerals, and this might be the one place that you might have to do a little bit of a refresher, touch up if you don't remember Roman numerals from school. Most of the time you're going to see us using what we call Arabic numbers. So those are our regular numbers that we use all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But a lot of times in some of the older measurement systems, like the apothecary system that they mention here, you're going to see those Roman numerals used. So understanding how Roman numerals work is very important. So the letter I, whether uppercase or lowercase, represents the number 1. And what we can do with Roman numerals is we just keep adding to them, right? So we can add 2 I's is a 2. 3 I's is 3. But once we get past 3, we cannot link together the same Roman numeral more than 3 times. So we had to come up with another way to do it. So the letter V represents 5. So what they did to represent 4 was to put that I in front of the V. So when you put the I in front of a larger number, it's like subtraction. So IV is 4. And then, like I said, V is 5. And then we can continue on with addition. So V plus 1 is 6. V plus 2 I's is going to be 7. V plus 3 I's is going to be 8. And then we have another problem because we can't do 4 I's again. So we had to come up with another one. So X represents 10. X minus the I is 9. So that's how the Roman numeral system actually works, as far as how you can string them along, put them together. So we have L, which represents 50. C, which represents 100, D, which represents 500, and M, which represents 1,000. And we can take all of these different letters and mix and match them to create all of the Arabic numbers. So, for example, what if I wanted to write the number 40? We can't write 3 X's or 4 X's in a row, right? Because, like I said, we cannot do 3 in a row, or 4 in a row. We can do 3, not 4. So if we want to do 40, we're going to have to use 50 and take away 10. So the actual number that we would write, or the letter, I guess you could say, we would write, is going to be XL. So let me just type that in there for you. If we put an X and then an L, that is going to be the number 40. So XL is 40, and for those of us who've ever, had to buy a men's shirt or something like that, you know that extra large is 40. So that's one easy way to remember that. So it's just another example of how we can string those numbers together. And then, of course, there's a lot of other terminology you're going to see. Common fractions, so parts out of a whole. So when the numerator is smaller than the denominator, that's considered a common fraction. Then we've got complex fractions. So we could have whole numbers, we could have mixed numbers, all kinds of things there. Decimals, dimensional analysis is going to be discussed. You'll talk about that more when you actually use it, but it's just another way to do calculations to get from one quantity to another. We're going to use all of these terms here: dividend, divisor, equation, extremes, fractions, means. Extremes and means are part of a ratio. So if you see two ratios, extremes and means deal with which numbers are which ones are on top, which ones are on bottom, which ones are in the middle, which ones are on the outside. So all of this terminology is things that you're going to be introduced to or refreshed on in this chapter. And we're going to then apply it going forward. So if you have any questions about the terminology, please make sure you reach out to me, and have a great week.